So introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay. Sonnie Harmon, Keller Realty. Yes, Sony, like the TV. Or as Travis said, like the PlayStation, but I can't be played.
That's so good.
My business with Keller Williams, I am the rainmaker, as they say. I just started a team. I was individual with Keller Williams for about 3.5 years, and I made my first hire about 6 months ago because it was, in order to keep up with the customer service that I like to give my clients, I had to make that next hire in order to keep the numbers in the customer service to continue to give the service that I like to give.
Awesome.
As far as the business, I do have 10 years total in the business. I was with another smaller brokerage before Katrina and got out of the business for about 5 years when the market crashed.
Right.
And then I got back in, and my gut just told me KW, just because of all of the training and education was the reason why. So I'm very learning based, and I'm always taking whatever I can to expand my brain and my business.
It's interesting. We were just at a brokerage across the lake, and before the training even started, one of the agents said she was still wrestling. I can't remember the exact verbiage, but she was wrestling with the fact of whether she should be in that classroom or whether she should be out doing something else. She could not make peace with it. It was just like this internal battle about where she should be, and a lot of her peers kind of spoke up and said, you need to invest in this education. You need to be here. You will gain far more by being here than you'll lose out in the field. So why do you think real estate agents, the vast majority of us, are not learning based?
It's hard for me to say.
Were you like that out of the gate, or did you?
When I first started in 2004, I was not, but I was also with a company that wasn't a training company. Keller Williams is the #1 training company of all industries in the U.S., not just real estate. So, you are who you hang around. So if you're with a company or if you're hanging around other agents that are learning based, that's what you are going to tend to be. Whether being a mom or managing a restaurant or being a bartender or a real estate agent, whatever it is that I've done in my life, I've always wanted to be the best at it. So I've always taken the classes or the courses or, worked the extra hours or followed someone, shadowed someone to see what it is that I can do to implement and make myself better in whatever service that I'm providing to my clients or guests.
Yeah, so think about this. We can come back to it if something pops up, something may not pop up. But it would be really interesting if you were able to think of an example where you were at a training. It could be at your office, it could be at the board, it could be at one of the national events like Family Reunion, but where you picked up something that actually helped you serve your buyers or sellers at a higher level, or helped you with lead generation, or just helped you form this team that you're now on. But we can come back to that. Now, that's a big loaded question, but I want to but until you come up with that response, talk about you're just coming off of Family Reunion, which had 10,000 people there.
17,000.
17,000 people there.
Keller Williams agents from around the world.
And a lot of, I'm sure, just loaded with talent and speakers and high level value content and all that.
Yes.
And then you're also coming to our event, which is not too far after. And so I was afraid, when this opportunity arose for you, that you'd be like, oh, I'm going to Family Reunion, I'll be good on education. But you're like, yeah, I can't wait to go to this too.
Yeah.
So, you are at this upper echelon of learning base where you're like a sponge for information and content. And I'm sure we can't forget networking, and you've probably gotten some referrals from going to these events.
Yes.
But what would you say to agents who are like, well, I went to Family Reunion, so I'm good?
Small thinking. It's very small thinking. You get out of it what you put into it. And I always say the more learning based you are, the more information you obtain, the better you're going to be able to help yourself and your clients.
Yeah, so the event is here in New Orleans, and we do have a very small population of agents from this area that are coming to this event. And so I think you hit them between the eyes a little bit. Taking Keller Williams off the table and Family Reunion off the table, I mean, we're in Veterans. There's real estate offices up and down here,
Yes, there are.
and it's at the Hilton Riverside, which is just a short drive away. You don't have to get on a plane. You don't have to unless you just want to get a hotel room. You know, for the cost of the ticket relative to all these other kind of exterior or extra costs, you know, it's like a no-brainer. It's
is.
like, you know, you can't afford not to.
No brainer.
Yeah, and we've also had, like, we've approached some vendors saying, you know, if you buy a group package of tickets, the tickets can go well under $200.
Well, remember when we first spoke, and I said, oh, that's awesome. I wanted to go to that anyway. And I was talking to some of my service providers, and they were like going to buy tickets and, you know, give me one. So when I won one, I was like, score.
Well, and
Yeah.
a lot of those people, like these vendors actually came back to us and said we can't get enough people to commit to a free ticket. It was that. So when you remove these objections, when you remove money, then they were like, well, I don't know, it's too far out for me to commit. Like, I don't know if I'll be free, you know, can block out.
That's just it. You have a schedule, you make it, and you work around it. So if it's in your schedule, it exists. If it's not in your schedule, it doesn't exist.
Let's talk about that for a second, because I feel like if I was coaching or asked to coach an agent who was struggling, I feel like the first question I would ask would be, show me your schedule.
Time management is number one. Because if you do not have your schedule down and you don't manage your time properly, it doesn't matter. The rest of it really doesn't matter. And then it's doing that, you know, 80-20. 80% of the things that we do in this business don't make you money, and the other 20 do. Being on appointments, being in front of clients, writing contracts, lead follow-up, lead gen. Those are the things that make us money. But you also have to do the other 80% if you don't have a team and you don't have an assistant to help you. So, you know, time management is definitely key. And if you can't set time aside to figure out what is the most important and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., then you're probably not going to make it to the next level in this business.
Yeah, you're always going to be confronted with a ceiling of achievement.
Yeah.
You're not constantly learning and growing.
You have to have your priorities. I mean, just like I say, okay, I go to church on Sunday, so no, I'm not available from this time to this time because that's what I'm doing and that's in my calendar. Whether or not it's church, I have something else to do.
Yeah, that's a big theme
Yeah.
For the last couple of days and the conversations we've been having lately is that, you know, these mega agents treat something like church as an appointment.
It is an appointment.
You know,
Just like my vacation was an appointment.
Right.
I'm going to be gone from this time to this time, and I'm unavailable. My assistant, who is a licensed real estate agent, can help you with anything that you need. She has the files in her hand anyway, you know?
it's interesting. I mean, to me, it's like frustrating. It's like, why would an agent not honor their time block as an appointment, or a date night as an appointment, or church as an appointment? I mean, if we go on an appointment with a buyer or seller, they're our whole world. Like, we give them our undivided attention.
Can I answer that right away?
Please.
They haven't been trained on it. They haven't educated themselves on how to do it.
Interesting. That is,
If you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly. So you're just kind of all over the place. I'm just doing it until somebody says, no, this is the way it needs to be done. And you figure out, you know, what time you want to do your lead gen, your lead follow-up, what time you want to do your appointments, but it needs to be a set time every day, the same day, every week, and it's in your schedule. And that's where you start building your schedule. And then you say, okay, lunchtime is from 12 to 1. That is what is going to be done 12 to 1. Or church, or, you know, whatever it is that's important to you, put the family stuff in the schedule first. What's most important to you? Because if you're not happy, you can't take care of anyone else. You gotta take care of yourself first. So you put those most important things in your schedule first, and then what's most important to your business, and then you work around the rest of it.
I love it. Therein lies the dilemma. So these agents who said that, you know, maybe they couldn't afford it, or they couldn't find the time to go to a learning-based event like Impact Agent Conference. You know, if they don't, that's how you combat this fly by the seat of your pants, you know, reactive mode that most agents are in.
So I'll tell you a little story. Try not to get emotional. I get emotional when I tell it. So I train and mentor new agents. And we have a system class called Bold. You've probably heard of it.
I'm a 2-time Bold graduate.
I'm a 3-time Bold graduate in my 3.5 years at Keller Williams. So when I first got back into the business, I went from real estate to restaurant business, back into real estate. I had a major injury and I was living off of credit cards due to that injury. And I was $30,000 in credit card debt. I joined Keller Williams. I had $1,000 left on one credit card, plus all of this credit card debt. Didn't know where my bills were going to get paid the next month. Single mom, been on my own since I was very young, raised my kid on my own. And had $1,000 left on a credit card. And I went to the first step of Bold because the first step was free. And it was $800 for the class. And I was like, I want to do this. I want to learn all of this. Like, I want to come back into the business. I'd just gotten back in real estate. I want to come back into the business full force and give it all that I have. But do I take a class or do I make sure that I have food on the table? And my gut told me, if you're going to be all in, you're going to be all in. So I took Bold. Family reunion was here that following February because I started back in May. Took family reunion, Bold in October, and then went into family reunion in February. I was rookie of the year because I had to start all over again with my license. I was rookie of the year and I did over 10 million in sales my first year, and I owe it all to the education. I mean, obviously I put the work in, the time and the effort, but it was Bold, it was family reunion, it was all of the classes and courses. I just took everything that I could, and money is no longer an object. Thank Lord.
That is an incredible story.
It is.
And, for me, it has been like kind of addictive in a sense because the more I learn, the more I can see my business grow. Yeah. The more innovative I am, the more degree of separation I create between me and the people that are chasing me. And, a lot of people ask, like, what happened? How were you able to do this? And it's like, I'm learning based. Now, there's some people that that took a lot of guts to do what you did, to your last.
But I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah. So I guess you paid this debt off and.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And now I help family and friends and thank God money is not an object. So.
Well, it sounds like too, since the education has made such a difference in your life that now you're this mentor and this trainer, you're giving back. Yeah. You're transferring these skills, you're paying it forward, you're making these deposits in other agents. So that's pretty awesome. But I would say, if there's some agents that don't have, they're not going to be able to follow their gut. They're not going to be as strong as you were at that point. So, I would just say to anybody that this can start on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Like everything you need to know is on YouTube.
Yeah, it totally is.
But, if you've got the guts to put it, it would have been a disaster if you had put that Bold class on your credit card and not been all in. I think you had to have both of those things.
You kind of have to be, yeah. You have to be all in. Because if you're not, then you're just throwing money away. Why would you pay for something and not actually implement it and use it to better yourself?
Yeah, because I tell agents all the time, if you put it on your credit card, it goes back to one of these sayings, like in the real estate coaching industry, the more you pay, the more you pay attention. But if you got skin in the game, you're like, I have to pay this off.
That's why you have to put a down payment on a house. The lender wants you to have skin in the game.
Right.
If you don't, you might not pay your mortgage.
Right.
Same thing.
But, it's like, if you are out there and you've got a credit card, you've got,
You've got the means to do it.
If you got the means to do it, you just need to be committed, not interested.
Correct.
Right? You need to be.
You either get reasons or results. I'm sorry, you either have reasons or you get results.
You either have reasons or you get results.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was the second day we played this. They're all drinking from the same water hose.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
It's Kool-Aid. I'm stirring the Kool-Aid.
Are there any, I still want to come back to see if you've got an example. That was a pretty powerful one. I don't know if we can top that one. But I would say, like, specifically, what was it maybe about Bold that you implemented that made that $10 million in production a reality?
Confidence.
Really?
The confidence. So they give you the tools, they give you the scripts, they give you the presentations, and then you practice them, and then you become confident. When you're confident doing something, whether or not you stumble or you're like, okay, maybe the numbers aren't exact, but if you're confident about it and that shows, then the buyer or the seller or whoever's sitting across from you is going to be like, okay, she knows what she's talking about. So having the confidence, so the more you know, And the more you practice those things, the more confident you are. And when you're confident in something versus not, it shows.
So are you saying that you prepare?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
Yeah. So it's just interesting. You know, the differences between the agents who are successful versus the agents who are just surviving. It's not complicated. It's I'm preparing, I'm practicing,
Yeah.
I'm making phone calls.
Because
I'm setting
if
a
you're
schedule.
not preparing and practicing your scripts before the appointment, then you're practicing at the appointment. And that's no good. That's like a basketball player, you know, not practicing at all and showing up to the game, and the game is practice. How do you think he's going to do?
Right.
Not very good.
Would you be do you pick up the phone and make calls?
Yeah.
Would you be successful if you did?
Not in the beginning, especially, because you have to build. You have to build your business. 80% of my business is repeat and referral clients because I love what I do and I give great customer service, and people, you know, they love me, so they want to send me all their friends and family. I still have to pick up the phone. I still have to have relationships and conversations, and you still have to do lead follow-up. So even if someone says, hey, my aunt wants to sell her house, here's her number, okay, I call her, and then I don't hear from her, I need to do lead follow-up and say, hey, what's going on? Are you ready to list that house? You know, staying in touch. And so, you know, that's what real estate is. It's relationships.
Well, the other thing too, since now that you're building a team, you can't, I don't think it's fair to ask somebody, a teammate, to do something that you're not prepared to do yourself.
Correct.
And you say, oh, I need you to, you're a rainmaker, you're generating these leads. You don't want to give these leads to somebody who's not prepared to make a strategic phone call. And, you know, they need to learn from you. And if you didn't do it yourself, you can't teach it.
Well, now I look back and I'm like, oh my goodness, how did I do all this on my own and still do $10 million a year? I'm like, I don't know if I could go back to doing that, you know, because it was a lot, but I was working until 10 o'clock at night. And that's why. But I had to do that in order to get where I am today and pay off those credit card bills, you know?
Let's close with the team model, and because there's some things going on out here in the real estate industry. Of course, the team model has been hot for many years now. I think most people are getting into it because it's maybe trendy, or they feel like
I think I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think the teams are very popular because you have rainmakers, you have individual agents that have a system and it's proven and it works, but in order to increase your business, you need help. And then you have new agents, or maybe agents that are, you know, maybe good at working with buyers, but they don't want to work with sellers. You're never going to make it just doing one or the other. You have to be able to implement both. So you have new agents or agents that are not good, and they come onto a team and now they're thriving, as to where on their own they were not. And then the rainmaker could do what the rainmaker's really good at, which is getting the listings. And then for every listing, you should pick up at least another buyer or another seller. And then if you're just doing that all day, and then you can bring in the buyer's agent, you can have the transaction coordinator and the EA assistant, executive assistant, about to talk Keller Williams.
Right.
Like throwing out abbreviations out there for you. But yeah, in order to implement those things, you had to have been able to do all of that yourself and know what it's like and be able to train. And we also have there's something called the Perfect Real Estate Assistant. It's another training course that I myself took with my assistant. So as much training and education and systems and models that you can implement, the better.
And there's a lot of individual agents out there who are saying, I can make way more money as a single agent. They see teams that were started, I think, because they maybe see you doing it. And they're like, oh, Sonnie's doing it, so I need to do it. Or if I start a team, I can get them to do the things that I don't want to do. And, you know, a lot of these teams are not started for the right reasons. The team leader has to be a teacher, maybe, at heart.
Yes.
You think? You know, who cares about the success of others?
Not necessarily a teacher at heart, because I never felt that I was a teacher at heart until I started training new agents, and then I was like, oh wow, I kind of actually like this. Because just because I've done something doesn't mean I'm the best at it. So there might be someone else that can train them to do that position that may be better than I was at it.
Right.
You know, so it doesn't mean I have to train them every single thing. There are systems and models out there for each team member, for each person that's going to have a role on the team, there's systems that you can, like the perfect real estate assistant. Like
Right.
You can take those, and so instead of me having to sit there and hold her hand and do his or her hand to do everything, you start with that, and then you meet up on it and you powwow about it. What did you like? What didn't you like? And then how to implement it, instead of you taking all of your time to sit there and train someone, because then, now how are you doing your business if you're just training them the whole time?
Right.
Yeah. But not everyone wants to be a team. Not everybody should be a team. I myself have started the team because I want to have a life as well, and I really didn't want to work from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. anymore. So even if I make the same exact amount of money, I'm still giving my clients this amazing customer service, and I still have the repeat referral business coming. I'm fine with that. I don't have to make more money to start a team. But it's definitely about being happy and having my own life and not just working 24/7.
And I can just tell that anybody that comes on your team is going to get a tremendous amount of support.
Yes.
And training, and they're going to have a leader that cares about their success. Travis and I were talking about, because we were having this talk on the way over about, he was like, if you could go back and do it all over again, would you, start this team? And I was like, the answer has to be yes. Now, I was on like a 10-year, I had like a 10-year learning curve on team building. I made a lot of mistakes. You can fast track it and be successful, but so it was a harder road for me than it sounds like it's going to be for you and for some other folks out there. But my answer was yes, I would do it all over again, because there's people on my team that we've helped them buy houses. We're helping them pay off debts.
Yeah.
We're helping them send kids to private schools or buy cars or go. One of our agents had never taken his family on a vacation, and now they're going on 3-4 family vacations
Doesn't it
a year.
feel good to give back? It feels
It's
better.
amazing.
It feels better to give than to receive.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. So I just love that aspect of the team, that the family, the community, the tribe, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
It really
your
is.
community, exactly. It is your family, because you spend more time with them than your own family.
Right.
At least I do.
Right.
So you definitely have to. I say love them and get along, but the yin to your yang as well. My executive assistant is Jennifer, and I'm like, here, I need you to Jenify it.
Right.
Jenify that for me.
Yeah.
And we talk the same language. She's like my BFF.
Right. Yeah, you can't have somebody come on your team that I feel like that you would not want to share a meal with, or
Correct.
Sit at your table at a holiday dinner, or be invited to their wedding. Like, if you're like, I don't really like hanging out with that person, probably not a good fit.
Not gonna work then.
Yeah, because culture and all that stuff's really, really important. Well, listen, I know you're super busy, so look at the camera one more time and tell people how you want them to contact you if they have a referral for the greater New Orleans area.
Yeah, definitely. My direct cell phone number is always best. That's area code 504-301-7606, or my email is sonniesells@gmail.com. So it's SONNIESELLS@gmail.com.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you all for watching.
Thank you.